Thousands of Verizon customers still having issues tonight with their service. According to downdetector.com, at 10:20 this morning, there were over 100,000 reports of cellular data issues with Verizon. The common theme here seems to be no service and phones being stuck in SOS mode. That means that only emergency calls can be made, but nothing else that requires connectivity will work. Verizon said it's aware of the issue. They're working to restore service, though they didn't give a timeline. We'll, of course, keep you updated on air and online at ktiv.com.